Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new episode of 10 to Life with me, Annie Elise, your true crime bestie. I'm here to break down another case, but you know what, before I do, I'm actually kind of getting a little warm, so I don't know why I'm wearing a coat in here. Let me take this off. I'm getting a little hot. These lights are a little hot. Okay, way better. Okay, so let me adjust my mic. Let me just get situated and comfy to talk with you guys. Okay. So the case I want to talk with you about today is the case of Savannah Gold. Now, Savannah was extremely committed to her family, okay? She even gave up her own dreams all to care for her sick mother. But then one day she left for work and she texted her family less than an hour later saying she had run away, that she had met this man and she was running away to be with him. This obviously didn't sit well for any of her family. They're like, "What are you talking about? This is so unlike you." Well, it turns out that as the police were investigating, they realized that Savannah had a lot of secrets. Also, that Savannah had been living a double life. So guys, let's jump right in.
I was just freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
In 2017, 21-year-old Savannah Gold was a beautiful young woman from Jacksonville, Florida. Savannah was petite, she had blonde hair, striking blue eyes, and she was also very athletic and creative. She was an excellent student in school, so much so that she earned a scholarship to Savannah College of Art and Design. Unfortunately, though, even though things were looking great in her personal life, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows because her mother, Sherry, was battling a very serious stage 4 cancer diagnosis. So Savannah ended up turning down that scholarship so that she could stay home and take care of her mom. See, Savannah was very close to her mom. She considered her her best friend. She didn't want her mom to go through all the ups and downs that come with cancer without having someone by her side. So she decided to stay home and put her academic goals on the back burner for the time being, all so she could be with her mom. And in many ways, this caretaking work was kind of like a full-time job in and of itself. I mean, Savannah really stepped up for Sherry. She wanted to make sure that she could rest, that her mom could focus on getting better, because even though a stage 4 diagnosis isn't usually good, Sherry did have reason to feel optimistic. See, it was colon cancer, and while I don't know the full details of her diagnosis, I do know that it still wasn't really at this place where they were ready to give up the fight, that they were going to stop, and just try to make her comfortable. So Savannah was right there at the front lines. She was doing everything that she could possibly do to help support her mom. And also, it kind of goes without saying, but Savannah didn't really look at caring for her mom as work. It was her mother. She would love to help her. She would cook for her, clean for her, take her mom to her appointments. She even would take her out for lunch after the appointments if she had an appetite. Savannah understood that potentially, if worst case scenario, she wouldn't have that much time left with her mom. So she wanted to make the most of it. She didn't want to waste a single second of it. So they would spend all their time together, and they also found some time to goof around together too. Now, whenever Savannah wasn't caring for her mom, she was working at her server job at Bonefish Grill. It's basically like a seafood restaurant chain. And Savannah had worked at Bonefish for 2 years. She was a really dependable employee, and customers just loved her. And what I mean by the customers loved her is, you know how if you go to a restaurant, sometimes there's a standout server who is always checking on the customers, taking care of whatever they need, grabbing you a refill before you even ask for it, that kind of thing. That's kind of what Savannah was like. She was just always on top of things, and the customers really just loved her for it. She really was the type of person who cared deeply about everyone, not just her mother, but customers, her friends, everyone. And because of that, her mom actually worried about her quite a bit because she barely had any money to her name, even though she was working all the time. And it was because Savannah was always spending her money on other people or even just giving it away. Savannah also tended to be drawn to, I don't know what you would say, maybe broken people. Sorry, my hair's falling out. And this kind of also made her mom a little bit nervous because she didn't want her daughter getting hurt by these people. But Savannah tended to be the person who always would just see the good in other people, even if they didn't deserve it. Now, obviously, Savannah still lived at home with her parents, which really made sense because caretaking was the whole reason that she wasn't off at college. But they also understood, she was an adult. She could make her own decisions. They didn't try to make her stick to a curfew or anything like that. She was really free to come and go as she pleased. But still, she always would check in with her parents so that they would never have to sit around worried about her, waiting on her, anything like that. And if you've ever worked in the service industry, you know that being a server means that your shifts always are going to vary. There is never a set schedule, and there were plenty of nights that Savannah had to work late. The restaurant itself didn't close until 11 p.m. on the weekends, and that was one reason that she would get home late on its own, because it closed really late. Now, Bonefish was about 10 minutes or so from where she lived, so she didn't really have a super long commute at the end of her shifts, but still, she would get home late from time to time. And really, she never really worried that much about being out late after work, because the restaurant was in the southernmost part of Jacksonville, and that area was considered pretty safe as far as crime goes. Crime rates there are actually 53% lower than the national average, too. So there was never really any reason for her to ever worry about going back and forth from work at late hours. And she had also lived in Jacksonville for her entire life, so she was definitely familiar with the area. So that meant that Wednesday evening on August 2nd, 2017, it really was like any Wednesday for Savannah. She put on her uniform, she drove to work at 5:15 p.m., which was plenty of time to get there for the start of her 6 o'clock shift. And it's not exactly clear why she was leaving so early, since she only lived 10 minutes away, but I would guess just to get there early enough in time to prep, and things seemed just pretty normal overall. That is until her parents got a phone call from Bonefish saying that Savannah had actually never showed up for work. And I think that tells you something too about how reliable Savannah was at her job. Because sometimes in that industry, servers can be, a little bit flaky, just being honest. It's not like it's somebody's dream job for a lot of people, or the sort of thing that sometimes they take seriously. Some do, but some don't. But Savannah was always very good about being on time at work, always arriving ready to go. So it was now a really big red flag that she just wasn't there. Now, moments after that phone call from Bonefish came through, Savannah's father, Dan, also received a very bizarre text message from her. This was around 6:11 p.m., so just 10 minutes after her shift was supposed to start. The text was from Savannah, but it was full of typos and full of misspellings. And I'm going to put it on screen exactly how it was written, but I'm going to read it as though I think this is what she was trying to say. Hey, I just wanted to tell you and Mom that I met a really great guy and we are running away together. I love him and we are leaving tonight. I'll call you later when we get to where we are going. So Dan right away showed his wife Sherry this text message. And right away, she had a very bad feeling. I mean, there was no way that this same girl who just turned down a scholarship to her dream school to take care of her sick mom would just suddenly drop everything and run off with this guy that she had just met, even if he was a really great guy. Plus, Sherry texted with Savannah all the time. She knew her texting style. And all of those little misspellings, they weren't like her at all.
Wording was uncharacteristic for her. I'm a glass half full person. I don't want to think that anything's happened to her.
None of it added up. And to make things even stranger, Savannah's brother also got a weird text from her. And again, it was just totally bizarre and it didn't sound like her. It said, "Hey, I quit. I'm leaving with my boyfriend. I can't do this shit anymore. I'm fine, just wanted to get away." So everything about those messages was just completely off. And look at how some of the words were even mashed together in that message to her brother. That wasn't Savannah at all. It seems like whoever was typing this was frantic, was in a panic. She usually spelled things correctly. She wrote incomplete sentences. So it was as if someone had typed these messages or was in a massive hurry to do so. So by this time, her family knew that something was seriously wrong here. She wasn't answering her phone. There were no signs of her being active on social media. They didn't know anything about this new guy that she had been seeing, not to mention that they knew that she had specifically left to go to work. She was literally wearing her work uniform, not something that she'd be wearing if she was just running off with some dude, right? She'd probably wear a different outfit. Plus, she had been acting very normal when she left. There was no indication that anything was weighing heavily on her or anything was on her mind. Certainly no sign that she was planning on doing something this dramatic. So it was all weird enough for her parents to reach out to the police. And when they did that, some investigators drove to Bonefish right away. Now, as soon as they got to the restaurant, they found Savannah's white Kia just sitting in the parking lot. Yet Savannah was nowhere to be found, yet her purse was still inside her car, which, by the way, was unlocked. And even worse, it looked like one of her tires had been slashed. Now, other than that slashed tire, you would think, okay, maybe she just stepped out of the car for a second, maybe checking to see if she was parked inside the lines or something before she locked her car and left. I don't know. Maybe she felt the tire go flat, she wanted to get out and see how bad it was, and then in that split second she was out of the car and she just poof, she vanished. But something wasn't right here. And most importantly, there were absolutely no signs of a struggle. There was no blood in her car, nothing. So since there weren't any obvious signs of foul play, the police told Savannah's family that it was too early to file a missing persons report. Specifically, they said, nope, we have to wait 24 hours, which I know I've touched on this before. We all know that that is not true, and those early hours are crucial. So it's wild that these things keep happening. But either way, she wasn't officially declared missing until the following day. And even though the police weren't treating the disappearance as urgent or important, Savannah's family was terrified for her, especially once they heard that all of her belongings still had been left behind in her car. Something wasn't right here. She wouldn't just leave her purse behind. And her disappearance became a major local news story.
First Coast News' Julia Janae joins us now on the scene of the last place Golds' family and friends believe that she was. And Julia, I know her family is very, very concerned about her.
Very concerned, and they say the most mysterious thing is what she left behind here in her car that's parked just steps away from where she worked at the Bonefish Grill. Now, she left her purse, her ID, her credit cards, her money, and like I said, even her Florida driver's license. And even though this car was driven to this spot here, you can see that there's a puncture in the car, and it has been flat ever since.
But her family and all of this still did not lose hope. They still thought that there was a chance that she would call. Her father, Dan, even said in a statement, "I want to know where she is. That's all. She's a grown woman. She's 21 years old. She can go anywhere she wants to go. I want to be able to talk to her because I love her. I want to be able to make sure that she's okay." And her mom, Sherry, just did not believe that Savannah would run off on her own. Not only was it not her personality, but realistically, how far was she going to get without her purse? She had no money, no ID, nothing.
Sharon Gold says police told her it's too early for a full investigation into her daughter's case.
This is the worst. I just want to know that my daughter's okay.
Surveillance camera footage viewed by First Coast News shows Gold's car arriving 30 minutes early to work. But those that know her, including her Bonefish Grill manager, say skipping work isn't like her.
Shows up, she's on time. Definitely somebody that you would want in your corner as a friend.
Extremely unusual, and I feel like she's with someone against her will, or maybe worse.
Nicole Klosky says she made plans with Savannah 3 days ago.
I didn't hear back from her at all. Time is essential right now.
Now she's hanging flyers.
There's a lot of people that are concerned for her.
So her family decided to get boots on the ground and begin doing their own search for Savannah. They brought in friends and other loved ones to pass out flyers that all had Savannah's picture on them, other information too about the disappearance. And even some of her fellow employees at Bonefish were doing what they could do. They were posting her missing signs at the restaurant. They were posting on social media. They put flyers up around the restaurant since that was the place that she had been headed to at the time of the disappearance, and also where her car was found. I mean, everybody was trying to do everything they could to find Savannah. Now, in the meantime, the police pulled some surveillance footage from the cameras that were outside of the Bonefish Grill. And what they found is honestly chilling. Okay, so the footage showed Savannah pulling up to the Bonefish Grill in the parking lot at 5:30. Then, when she got out of her car at 5:31, she walked over to another car in the parking lot, which was a silver Chevy Malibu. She went right up to the driver's side window, almost as if she knew this person, and then she started talking to them. And this whole time, she was still standing on the street, talking to this driver through an open window. But then, after a nearly 15-minute conversation, she got inside the car. which was very strange, especially given that she was about to start her shift at work for that night. Now, it was hard to see with that surveillance camera footage and in the footage that was released, but it looked like Savannah and the driver just kept talking, that they were having, quite the conversation, but then suddenly, all of a sudden, apparently the car starts shaking, like some sort of struggle is going down. Because the car doors also were opening and closing, almost like Savannah was trying to get out, but then somebody was stopping her from getting away, like closing it from the inside. And then, not long after it all began, the shaking just stopped. But Savannah never leaves the car. Instead, a tall, dark-haired man gets out of the car and went over to Savannah's car. He opens the driver's side door and he leans in, and it's not clear what he's doing, but once he's done doing whatever he was doing inside of the car, he slashed Savannah's tire with a small kitchen knife. Then he comes back over, gets into his car, and he drives off at 6:04 p.m. Now keep in mind, this was all going down in basically broad daylight during dinner time. Like, a lot of people and cars going by. I mean, they were in a very busy shopping plaza. So you would think that somebody would have seen something. They would have seen what was going on. For a car to be shaking because of some sort of argument or struggle inside of it, I just don't know how no one around didn't notice. Either way, though, that dark-haired man from the footage was the only real lead that the police had to go on. They knew that they needed to find this man, and they needed to find him fast, especially if there was any hope of finding Savannah. Now, the good news was that it didn't take the police very long at all to figure out exactly who that man was. They actually talked to some people who worked at the restaurant and described the car to them, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we know who that car belongs to." It was actually someone who worked at the restaurant with Savannah. He was 28-year-old Lee Rodarde, and Lee had been the culinary manager at Bonefish for 5 years. However, he wasn't scheduled to work that night, so there really wasn't any reason at all for him to be there, unless he was specifically there to meet Savannah before her shift. Now, he was a fairly quiet guy, and he didn't have much of a record other than some minor traffic offenses here and there. One of them was like driving on a suspended license. But as near as the police could tell, Savannah had met Lee back when she first started working at that restaurant. However, as things go, as more time went on, they got to be more than coworkers. And for the past 8 months, they had actually been in an on and off again relationship. And there was definitely some drama between them. Savannah's parents, for one, never met Lee, but they were supposed to meet him one time, but he ended up bailing on the plans. And it's fair to say that Lee wasn't a great boyfriend in general. He actually even had a girlfriend named Chelsea when he first met Savannah, who he cheated on to then be with Savannah. And then, like I said, his time with Savannah was a lot of just like breaking up, getting back together, breaking up. And after the last time he broke up with Savannah, he actually got back together with his ex. He went back to Chelsea, the one he had cheated on, to get with Savannah in the first place. Which, it just sounds very toxic. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of cheating, and he's an older man, she's a younger girl. I mean, he's not much older, but you get what I'm saying. It just feels like a very rocky relationship. But then things got even stickier, because like a lot of workplaces, probably most of them actually, Bonefish had a policy against managers dating subordinates. And since Lee was the culinary manager and Savannah was a server, it was definitely against the rules for them to be together. And that's actually why Savannah and Lee had kept their relationship a secret for so long. They knew that if anybody found out what was going on, Lee could be fired. And even after Savannah had gone missing, Lee hadn't exactly come forward to admit that they had been together. However, he did pitch in with the search efforts to find Savannah. Like her other coworkers, he had been posting her missing posters all over the restaurant. And on top of that, he did seem genuinely upset about her disappearance. When he talked with coworkers, he said he was really worried about her. He was really worried about what could have happened to her. But either way, after the police realized that it was Lee in that footage, they of course wanted to talk to him, so they brought him in for questioning on August 5th. And at this point, it had been 3 days since anybody had seen Savannah. Now, Lee walked into this interview that day with what appeared to be cuts or scratches to his neck and to his wrists. However, he claimed that they were all self-inflicted. He said that with Savannah missing, he had been having a really difficult time emotionally, that is, that he was unable to sleep at night, that he was stressed out. He also admitted to taking an Adderall to help him stay sharp during the day, given everything else that he was dealing with. But he said he was just so, grief-stricken. And he told the detectives that he had actually used a knife on himself in July, but that somehow, even though it was a month earlier, or a month or so earlier, I should say, the wounds were still bloody. So when the police asked him, okay, well, why would these wounds still look so fresh weeks later or a month later? He said, well, it's because I'm nervous. I would pick at the scabs while I was at work. I had a lot of nervous energy to get out, which kind of makes me want to vomit because I feel like maybe you shouldn't be doing that if you're handling food. Disgusting, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. And that's kind of the excuse he was working with. He was like, yeah, I'm nervous, I am stressed out, so I would pick at the scabs, and that's what would reopen them and make them bloody. So then when they asked him about Savannah's disappearance, Lee told the detective that he wasn't in the parking lot that evening. He also said he hadn't seen Savannah in several days. So the detective asked Lee, okay, well, what was your relationship with Savannah like? And he talked about how they had a lot in common, and that's actually the whole reason why they got together in the first place. He admitted that he cheated on his ex-girlfriend to be with Savannah, but he said it's because he just hit it off with her so strongly, that they had so much in common, and he just wanted to be with her. But then he went on to make a pretty startling accusation against Savannah as to why they broke up.
And then she started using drugs a lot.
Okay.
Now, I used them with her, not the same drugs that she used all the time, but I did them with her a couple times, and then she started to get heavy into them. And
oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I kind of just tried to take a step back and, put things off. And after that, me and my ex started kind of chit-chatting again.
Okay. And who's that? What's her name?
Her name's Chelsea.
Okay. All right.
So we kind of started chit-chatting again. Never really 100% because obviously, she was still kind of upset about me hanging out with Savannah and stuff like that. And then probably a month or so ago, I saw Savannah at work, and she looked healthy again. She gained a little bit of weight, and just friendly talk at work. Telling her, hope everything's been good. And she told me, that I guess she did a lot of drugs and ended up in the hospital. She ended up missing I want to say a couple of days, 3 or 4 days from work.
Oh, okay.
So obviously, me being pretty close to her, I was concerned and everything. But after she came back, she looked good. And she ended up telling me that I guess, over those 4 days she detoxed pretty well. And she kind of caught a, new sense into why she shouldn't do some drugs so much.
Okay.
And like I said, she looked good. She started looking healthy. So we kind of were talking, here and there. We hung out a couple times. She came over to the house, and we just kicked back, drink a couple beers, watch movies, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then as we hung out, after a couple times, she brought drugs over. And I told her, I was like, you're doing really good. You can't, you shouldn't be doing it again. You're finally gaining weight. Because when we were together the first time, she was, she got really petite and just didn't look well, which is kind of why I took a step back. Plus, my father used a lot of drugs growing up, and my mother used a lot of drugs growing up. And it was just kind of a hard thing to see, every time that we hung out. Like I said, we did, we took some pain pills here and there on occasion, but then she started bringing heroin over and stuff that. And that's, my mom was addicted to methamphetamines when she was, when I was younger. So those hard drugs just kind of scare me a little bit. So that's why I took a step back the first time. And then I felt like she was better, as we hung out recently. And she brought drugs over to my house the last time that we hung out. And we would text here and there. I would ask her how she's doing, hope her day's going good. Just because I told her when she left the last time that we hung out, I was like, you're doing really well. Stop doing this, you can do it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I heard that she just kept, was doing the same thing.
Okay.
So we texted a couple times, and I ended up telling her, I was like, hey, you know, for one, I'm dealing with a lot of personal stuff myself right now as it is. You know, I'm a little depressed. But I think we're moving too fast. I think we should, you know, stop talking.
Okay.
And she said, I understand. It's completely fine. No problem, you know. She said, I'll delete your number. I'll never text you again.
Okay.
And I said the same. I was like, you know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, you know, try to jump back into things. I think we moved too fast. And I said I wouldn't text her either, just to, you know, kind of split mutual ways.
Mutual. Right. Yeah. No worries. Okay.
And that was the last time that we text.
When was the last time you saw her?
This is what I was a bit. I didn't tell you the truth when we talked at Bonefish.
Okay.
Last time I saw her was Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
I heard that she has been basically telling a lot of people at work that we hooked up a bunch, like a couple days before that, and that she was going to like tell about the whole situation and, you know, try to get me fired. And
why
like that.
would that get you fired?
I'm a manager and she's an employee. So
okay,
I mean,
so you guys aren't supposed to fraternize?
Yeah.
Or, okay, I got you.
And she just told people, I guess, that she was out with that work at the restaurant that we were having sex.
Okay.
And, you know, hooking up and stuff like that, and that I was her boyfriend and this and that. So I was a little upset. Obviously, you know, I care about my job.
Sure. How long have you been there now?
It'll be 5 years in December.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So I was a little upset. So I met her in the parking lot at Bonefish.
When's this?
Wednesday afternoon.
Okay. Well, do you know what time or about?
It was about 5:30.
Okay.
When you say you met her, was she meeting you too, or?
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't call her.
Okay.
I just drove up there to see if maybe she was working. I was
Okay.
gonna, you know, talk to her, and
Did you
as
know
I was,
she was working that night?
I did.
You did not.
I did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, you knew she was working that night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I drove up there, and I was hoping to get a chance to talk to her.
Okay.
I pulled in the parking lot. She pulled in a little bit after me. I parked, and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And she said, "Yeah, what's up?" And I was like, "I heard you've been saying some things about me and you continuing to hang out, and you know that we're boyfriend and girlfriend." And she asked me, she said, "Can I come sit in the car? Because I just did some heroin and I'm a little paranoid."
Okay.
I said, "Why are you doing that? You know, you're doing really well. You shouldn't have been doing that."
Okay.
And so she came and sat in the car, and I explained to her the situation. I told her that servers at Bonefish were coming to me and telling me that you're telling people when you're out that we're still having sex and we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And I said, I would appreciate, you know, I need you to stop, because for one, it's jeopardizing my job. We agreed to, you know, stop talking mutually and just move on, and, you know, be cordial or whatever. But it was nothing more than that. And she said, "I'm going to do what I want. You can believe what you want. I didn't tell anybody anything." And I told her, I said, "The girl that you were out with told Chelsea that we were still having sex and that you were just at my house like yesterday and hanging out." And
The girl that she was out with when?
that Savannah was out with a couple nights prior.
Okay, gotcha.
I guess at one of the bars
Okay.
in Mandarin.
And who was that?
Bonefish. The girl that she
Yeah.
was with,
Yeah.
her name was Rachel.
Rachel. Okay. And Rachel told
Chelsea that Savannah was saying that, because me and Chelsea talk, you know, we're very, you know, friendly at work, you know, we joke back and forth.
Okay.
And Savannah said, "Yeah, I did say that, you know, I don't really like Chelsea, you know, And I said, well, look, you need to stop. Because, for one, like I said, we agreed to go our separate ways. And it's jeopardizing my job, and it's making me really upset having to come into work, you know, or talk to Chelsea, and she just constantly, you know, badger me about stuff that you're saying that isn't true.
Yeah.
And I told her that she needs to stop. At that point, I got out, and I punctured the hole in the tire.
Okay.
And I said, now stop. Like, I'm serious. I don't want to talk to you. It's not good for us, so let's stop. And she just said, why'd you do that? I said, well, I'm upset. You know, I apologized after. I told her I would get her a new tire, and she said, fuck you. You know, you're a piece of shit. And I said, she said she's gonna keep telling lies and stuff about me and everything like that. And I said, don't do it again, or next time it's gonna be worse. It's gonna be your windows.
Okay.
And at that point, she had her phone in her hand. She got out of the car and walked towards the main entrance from San Jose.
Now, that was obviously a lot to take in, and very alarming if true, right? But according to Lee, he just sat there and watched Savannah storm out of the car. In fact, he says he watched her walk away for a full 5 minutes, which I have to say is a really long time to just watch somebody walking away. Just like... Okay, that was only 10 seconds and that felt like an eternity. So 5 minutes feels like a really long time. But then he says that after those 5 minutes, an older green Ford pickup truck pulled in, and this truck picked Savannah up and drove off with her. And Lee said that was the last time that he ever saw her. So I bet Lee was feeling like pretty good about himself, right? Like, okay, I made a good excuse. The police are off my trail. It's all like fine and good. Except that's when finally the police told Lee the truth. They had seen the surveillance camera footage. They knew that he wasn't being honest about what had happened between him and Savannah. And from Lee's reaction, you can just tell that this is when he started panicking. He was now changing up his story in a way that just did not make any sense at all. First, he said that yes, they did fight a little bit, that she slapped him and he tried to slap her too. But then, after she cooled off for a little bit, they went back to his place and they did drugs together. However, the police and the detectives, they didn't believe Lee's story, and they started pushing him much harder after that.
Where's Savannah?
I don't know.
You do know. So you're going to make me and our team and this whole entire sheriff's office and every person in the community to get out there after, after they know the truth of who she left with and sees the struggle in the backseat of your car. And you're going to make all of us go and search Jacksonville for her when you could just easily tell me where she is? Is that what we're going to put everybody through?
Think about this. All right. Sometimes people do wrong things, right? Some people make mistakes. It's what you do afterwards. I got a family that needs closure. They are now coming to the reality that she's no longer with us. I need closure for them. When stuff gets out that you guys left and all that together and all that kind of stuff, you want people to remember you as a guy who said, okay, look, I'm going to do the right thing? Or do you want your family and everybody else to think that you're some evil, heartless person who won't tell us where she is? Why would you put your family and her family through all that? I don't think you're that kind of guy. I don't think you're evil. Something got out of hand. I get it. But what do you do after that? Here's what you do. You do the right thing now. Just tell us where she is. Closure for her family.
And after a lot of pushing, he finally cracked.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can
We can work with that, man. We can work with that.
What?
You got to do the right thing now. You can do this. You can do the right thing.
She was hitting me. She wouldn't stop, and I squeezed back.
Okay.
And she was just,
Was she under your arm or something, or?
she started hitting me, you know, after I, you know, slashed her tire.
Right.
And we went back and forth, and I squeezed her hard.
You squeezed her around her neck or around her neck with your hands?
She
She
had her hands around mine.
Okay.
And then you had yours around hers, and y'all were just fighting back with each other.
Okay.
She just wouldn't let go, and I didn't let go.
Okay.
Where is she now?
Please tell us where she.
You got the hardest part out.
I
understand
yeah.
that. And you got the hardest
Freaked
part
out.
Okay.
I left. All I wanted to do was leave me alone.
We know.
I know. You're doing good, buddy.
This pond on the west side of the Club du Clay
Club du Clay?
Yeah.
Okay.
and Longchamp.
Yeah. Okay. If I got a map printed out of that, you think you could just show me that? Okay. It's on the west side from Club du Clay and Longchamp? Okay. And did you... You're great, thank you. Thank you. Let's get this over with and let's find her. Let's let her pants
When
know.
did you put her there?
Did you go straight there?
No.
No. Okay. What happened? You tell me. I'll quit.
After she stopped, I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I freaked out.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I have the faintest idea what's supposed to happen after that. So I go home and I don't know what to do, so we have a fire pit in our backyard, and I put it there. And then, you know, you guys show up Friday night.
Okay.
I get even more scared.
Okay. Was she just put in the fire pit? Or did you burn her or what?
I dug a hole.
Okay.
I put her there.
Okay.
And then I don't know why I thought it would help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, starting a bonfire.
Okay.
It did.
Okay. You're doing fine. Okay. You're doing the right thing now, man. You are.
So you moved her Friday.
Moved her this morning.
This morning. Okay. And now was the area that you dug out there, was that, did she get burned at all, or you just tried, or what?
I tried.
Okay. You tried to burn her. Okay. Was she wrapped in anything, or just her?
No.
Okay. Okay. Did she still have on her work clothes?
No.
Okay. You took the work clothes off of her. Where are the work clothes?
I threw them away.
Okay. Where did you throw those away?
I just, on the way this morning, I just tossed them out.
Out the window? Do you remember about where you were?
No, I was just scared.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
It's Chelsea.
Okay.
Chelsea knows.
No.
Okay. You
I
just-
never told Chelsea.
You never told her.
Okay.
You never told her when she came over that night.
Okay.
Weren't you scared that she?
I was amazed. I didn't know what to do.
Was she was out back when that happened?
Who?
That Savannah was out back when Chelsea came over. Okay. Yeah.
So you put her there that night on Wednesday, out in the
Wednesday,
back.
okay.
Is your roommate? Your roommate here,
He wasn't home.
but he knows.
No.
He doesn't know.
And then today you dug her up? Okay. And then did you put her in your car? Okay. Did you wrap her up or just, okay, what'd you wrap her in?
We had like some plastic and a blanket.
Okay. And did anybody help you or did you see anything? Okay, just you at the house? And where did you put her in the car? In the trunk, okay. And then you went, tell me where you went to. I don't believe you did.
I thought me telling her to leave me alone would make things right.
Make things right, yeah. And that
I didn't want to be.
that pond is Longchamp, Duclay area. Okay. I'm going to see if somebody will bring in a map, and we'll just make sure we get that. And you can just kind of show me. And then when you get there, about what time today was that? Do you know?
6:30.
About 6:30 tonight.
This morning.
Oh, this morning. Okay, I apologize. So about 6:30 this morning, you go there. Were there cars out? Did you pull her? Is it? And I don't know the area. Is there? You pull around the backside or
You
something?
come down the front street, which is Club to Clay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Club Du
believe-
Clay.
Yeah.
It's a residential neighborhood.
Take a right onto, I think that's Longchamp,
Okay.
and just straight down. There's
Okay.
a pond at the end of the street.
Okay. And then just walk me through that. What happened there?
I pulled in. There's an area you can drive
Yeah.
like into the pond, into the trees and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Did you just put her there? Did you float? Did you put something on the mat?
What made you go there?
How do you know that area?
I've been fishing there.
Okay.
Long time
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
So it's off of you went off Collins Road, or you
No,
went
I
off?
got off of Landing.
Okay, you went off of Blanding. Oh yeah, you went off of Blanding and then you turned on.
Yeah, I know that area. I'm gonna see if I'm
I
in
know
the
my
map.
phone is like cracked, but like there's one you turned on that road to go down Club Du Clay, and it's down that pond. That one or over here? Is this one? No, nobody else was gonna see.
I was just freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
So now the jig was up. He told them everything. He sang like a bird. Now, since Lee had told the police exactly where to find Savannah's remains, they decided to send some officers to go look for her. And while the divers were searching that pond for Savannah, Lee was still in the interview room. The detectives just left him there alone. And you can see him getting up, putting his head in his hands, picking at his skin. And he sat there for 2 hours, just sitting there for 2 hours waiting to hear if the police actually would find Savannah or not. And while he was waiting, they checked out the retention pond in West Jackson. That was 8.5 miles from where Savannah's car had been found. The divers went into the marshy part of the pond, and when they did, it didn't take long for them to find Savannah. She was wrapped in a plastic sheet, and she was tied up with duct tape.
Ashley, police say Rodarte admitted to killing Gold and led them to this marshy area right here behind me where a JSO dive team found her body.
Lee was arrested that day, and he was charged with second-degree murder, evidence tampering, and abusing a body. He was held without bail. Now, in the meantime, the police wanted to do an autopsy on Savannah, but it was basically impossible. Her body just was not in a state where it would be practical at all. And her exact cause of death couldn't be determined, but the medical examiner could confirm that Savannah's death was very violent. They found her thyroid fractured, which does not happen easily. And this also didn't really match with what Lee had said in his interrogation, where he made it sound like this was all an accident. I mean, We already know Lee was a huge liar. That was clear enough from the way that he kept changing up his story during the interrogation. But if he was telling the truth this time about him actually hurting her and holding his hands against her neck, this means that he strangled her so hard that he punctured an internal organ. Now, because her body was so badly burned, it does make me wonder if he did more than that, like just the hitting or the punching her, or the strangling her. I mean, remember how that car was apparently shaking? It feels like to me at least, that there's a good chance that he left out some details during his interrogation. I don't think a car shakes like that. Maybe if you're moving back and forth, but I don't know. Something about it just doesn't sit right with me. And one very interesting thing that came out of the autopsy report was that Savannah didn't have any drugs in her system at the time of her death. That completely contradicted Lee's story about how Savannah was so high, she was unreasonable, she was hostile, she was on heroin. It was just one more lie coming out of Lee's mouth. And given how dishonest Lee was the entire time, there's definitely some questions that are still up in the air. I mean, even with his confession, you have to wonder where else he was exaggerating or leaving details out. For example, did Savannah really go around talking to people about their relationship even though he asked her to keep quiet? So is that why he then wanted to talk to her privately and it escalated? Did he maybe slash her tire as a warning to say don't talk, or was that all, since that was done after the shaking, was that to stage the scene? It just didn't really make much sense. None of it was adding up. And if they're arguing back and forth, is that then when it gets physical inside the car? They're talking outside of the window for 15 minutes. Does he then say hey, just get in, let's finish talking in the car? Does she get in and then that's when it becomes hostile? Or did he know what he was going to do and did he trick her to get into the car? There's just a lot of questions that I have. But regardless what led up to it, it would have taken around 4 to 5 minutes to strangle her to death. So again, it begs the question, was this something he had planned, or did he just lose control in that moment? You would think that if it was just anger in the heat of the moment that he might have stopped after a minute or so. But obviously we know that he didn't stop, or that whatever happened did not stop. And ultimately, if the story that Lee told in his interrogation wasn't true, then maybe we'll never know what really happened in that car. But even though there were a lot of questions, the one thing that the police were sure of in this moment was that Savannah was dead. She was no longer a rescue. This was a recovery. And now that they had recovered her body, they had to notify the family of the bad news. And her family was completely shocked. Up until this moment, they had been holding out hope, really believing and trusting that she would make it home safely. So now, they were just devastated. And here's what Savannah's uncle had to say.
Well, we're going through a lot of emotions right now. Most of the emotions are, it's still in a state of shock. We're trying to come to terms with the situation, and we're trying to be there for each other.
Now, there was some talk going around about whether or not the Bonefish Grill could be held liable for Savannah's death, since one of their employees is the one who killed her. But from what I can tell, nothing came of all of that speculation. And instead, Lee had to focus on fighting his criminal charges. And that's exactly what he did. He fought them. During his initial hearing that August, Lee pleaded not guilty to everything, even though he had literally already confessed to killing Savannah and dumping her body. So his trial was set for 2019. But as time went on and Lee's team tried to build a strong defense, Lee's story started changing. Again, which, are we surprised? No. But his team tried to push the idea that Lee had actually killed Savannah in self-defense. The argument was that they were fighting and Lee was afraid for his life. So because of that, he grabbed Savannah by the neck. He didn't expect it to seriously hurt her, and because of that, he was very surprised when he felt, quote, what he calls a pop. So to hear them tell it, not only was it self-defense, but it was also a completely unforeseeable accident. But let's break that down, okay? And let's face it, Savannah was 5'2". She was probably about 100 pounds or so. She also didn't have a weapon on her, and she was trapped inside of Lee's car. Lee himself admitted that she tried to get out and that he grabbed her back by the waist and pulled her back in. So what kind of danger was Lee in? How could he be so afraid for his life in this situation when he's the one who created this situation himself, and he was the one in the driver's seat, literally and figuratively, and in control of everything? Now, either way, his trial hit a bunch of delays, which we do see happen a lot in these kinds of cases, especially once 2020 came and the whole pandemic threw the whole court system into chaos. And during all of this, Savannah's parents were stuck wondering if their daughter would ever get justice, which I do have to say, ended up kind of being a good thing. Because apparently through all of these delays, Lee began having second thoughts about whether he would actually be able to win his case in court. So in the spring of 2021, right before his trial was about to start, Lee ended up accepting a plea deal.
Here's a look at the video from that hearing this afternoon. Rodarte didn't say much, mainly just gave one-word answers when the judge asked him questions. Gold's parents watched virtually as Rodarte pled guilty to the 2017 murder.
He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, and in exchanges, the other charges of abusing a body and tampering were completely dropped against him.
You understand that is the crime to which you are pleading guilty?
Yes, sir.
Now, there were a ton of people who gave victim impact statements at Lee's sentencing hearing, and we would be here for hours if I played all of them. But I think that that's important because that's an illustration of just how much Savannah meant to people. And here are some of the especially moving parts within these statements.
Savannah H. Gold was our only girl and second child. She was taken from us when she was 21. How could we ever imagine the impact 21 would have on us? 21 was her jersey number in sports. 21 tattooed on her hand in Roman numerals. 21, the year her killer goes to prison.
This crime has caused me to question every decision I've made. I knew at age 13 I wanted to live in Florida. Family Christmas vacation, I'd be swimming in Florida instead of shoveling snow in Maryland. After being honorably discharged from the Navy, after 10 years of service, I had the opportunity to relocate my family to Florida. My daughter's murder calls into question a decision I made at 13. If Savannah had never had a chance to meet Lee Rodarte, would she still be alive? As Savannah's father, I've strived to be patient, loving, and a good listener. Why wasn't I striving to teach her self-defense? Why didn't I strive to teach her to use and carry a gun? Why didn't I strive to teach her how evil people can be? These regrets will forever be with me. My daughter's murder has changed my core values in a way that isolates me and causes mistrust at every level. Our extended family is scattered up and down by the East Coast. Most of Savannah's cousins are at wonderful times in their lives. Some are going to high school, others starting college, still others are finishing their degrees and setting out to change the world. Savannah's physical presence has been taken from us. Savannah will always be with our hearts. At each and every joyous life accomplishment, Savannah will be with us. It is extremely important to me not to give Savannah's murderer any more control over my life. Savannah's murderer has muted my beautiful daughter's voice. Savannah's true colors will forever be with my family and every day of my life. Thank you, sir.
So the big question was, where was the judge going to land with all of this?
We have previously taken, and the court has accepted Mr. Rodarte's plea of guilty. In connection with that plea of guilty, there was a negotiated sentence, and that negotiated sentence was an adjudication of guilty on count 1 of the information filed against Mr. Rodarte, which is a count for second-degree murder. That involved a sentence of 40 years in prison with credit for time served since August 5th, 2017. In connection therewith, the state had agreed to drop counts 2 and 3 with the imposition of court costs and the public defender's fee. And we had a waiver of the pre-sentence investigation report as well. We have determined restitution. So with that said, Mr. Rodarte, I'm going to sentence you to the negotiated sentence in this case, which is to reiterate an adjudication of guilt on count 1 of second-degree murder. And in connection with that adjudication of guilt, I will sentence you to 40 years in the Florida State Prison. You will receive credit for time served since August 5, 2017.
40 years with time served. So doing the math, Lee will be about 68 years old by the time he gets out.
Today's not a happy day for us. This crime cost my daughter her life. It destroyed another life, and it's impacted many other lives negatively. We are very grateful to all the professionals involved in bringing Savannah home and to those whom have assured her assailant is held accountable. We extend our deepest thanks to the press because you respected my daughter, and I appreciate that. We also extend our thanks to the JSO and Detective Reeves. Detective Reeves was amazing through this. Him and his professional partners, Detective Reeves, you and your partners' professional police work brought Savannah home. And to the state's attorney's office, Miss China Michelle Makarowski, she held our hand through this devastating journey. Mr. Alan Mizrahi kept us informed, and your confidence allowed us to trust the process. The Honorable Judge Ahu and the Honorable Judge Burnham for keeping Savannah's case moving forward in this unpredictable pandemic times. To our family, our extended family and community, our hearts have begun to heal because of your love and support. We love Savannah, and we never realized how many of you did also. Thank you.
We never got to meet him. He was supposed to come over for dinner one time, and he bailed. And then ultimately just ended up lying to her all the time. Just was not a good person. I was never one to believe in capital punishment. So I'm a little bit more of the mindset that I just want him to suffer forever. I don't want him to die. I want him to just suffer eternally. And it's still not enough.
Now here's what's crazy. As I started looking deeper into this case, I found a few things that really surprised me. Because there are actually a lot of people who feel bad for Lee. Like, supposedly there are people that think that because Lee was self-harming, he deserves more sympathy, which I don't know how you get from A to Z with that argument, but it's out there. And the other thing that I found is that his family does have some serious issues. I mean, just 8 months before Lee murdered Savannah, his own sister Amber, who was just 26 years old at the time, was also being charged with murder. A friend had taken Amber's car without asking her and ended up trading the car to another woman for drugs. But Amber tracked down who had her car, asked to meet up so that she could get it back, and when she got to that meetup spot, the woman who had the car apparently demanded that Amber pay her $100 to get it back. Like, if you want your car back, you have to give me $100 for it. So Amber went to her car, her other car, pretending to get the money, but ended up grabbing a gun and shooting this woman to death. Feels like a pretty big overreaction, right? Now, Amber also had a pretty long rap sheet before then, too, with over 40 arrests in Jacksonville. So there were definitely a lot of problems that ran deep in Lee's family. But as for Savannah's family, I'm just thankful that her mom was finally able to see justice served, especially considering that she was fighting stage 4 cancer through all of this. Yet she continued to honor Savannah by posting about her regularly on social media. But their lives were never the same. They lived a life where they questioned every decision that they ever made.
I feel like she gave up a lot because I was sick. She had an art, sports, and academic scholarship to SCAD, and she didn't want to go because I had just gotten over surgery and chemotherapy, and she wanted to stay here with me. In hindsight, it's hard because I feel like if she had been away at college, maybe she'd still be alive.
Sadly, Sherry's battle with cancer ended after 15 years, and she passed away in September of 2024. Part of her obituary read, "To us who knew Sherry well, she was an example of what the body and mind can accomplish with love, compassion, and a few wild women at your side." Which, when you really think about it and put it in perspective, who knew that all along Savannah was worried and thought that her time with her mother was going to be cut short due to Sherry's cancer diagnosis, when in reality, it was Savannah's life that was tragically cut short. And I feel like this whole situation just escalated so fast. I mean, Savannah's murder was so sudden. If Lee was telling the truth, I mean, how insane is it that he basically just snapped because Savannah was talking about their secret relationship at work? He didn't want to lose his job, so his solution was to kill her. And now not only did he lose his job, but he also lost his freedom. Now, we don't know much about their short relationship, but I can't help but wonder, was Lee ever physical with her before? I mean, I feel like there probably had to be other moments where things got heated, especially if it was some like secret illicit affair. And maybe that's why the relationship ended the first time. But either way, to me, Lee is right where he should be. And the whole self-defense thing, I think I'm calling bullshit on it. I don't think that's real for a second. But if you think it is, let me know. I can't imagine any of you guys do. I know you guys are much smarter than that. But I think he's right where he should be, and I wish that his sentence was longer, because even though he'll be 68 when he gets released, that's still plenty of life to live and plenty of people to prey on, if I'm going to be honest. So I'm glad her family finally was able to get justice for her, and I'm glad her mom finally got the resolution before she unfortunately died from her battle with cancer. It's just, again, these men, and not just men, anybody really, these people who feel like they are so entitled in their relationship and that they have the final say in what can and can't be said or done, and they can decide who lives and who dies. It's so gross, and it's just so scary to think about. And I really hope that for Savannah that it was easy, that it was quick, that it was painless, although I know that that is not an easy way to go, but I hope she was unconscious for most of it, at least, because it is just so freaking horrible. And then for him to just like discard her like garbage, like trash, to burn her, throw her in a pond, like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. So thank you so much for hearing her story today. I'll be back with you guys very soon with another deep dive. But until then, please, please, please stay safe and just be very careful. Okay? All right.